Hi, welcome to Our Highest Work, a video series where we are exploring the best ideas for spiritually based business success. My name is George Cao, and today we continue our exploration of the book, The 7-Day Startup by Dan Norris. Now, it is one of the better business books I've read in the last 5 years, so I highly recommend it. Now, I don't agree with everything in it. I talked about that in the previous video. But I do agree with a lot of it. And I think that if you read the book, it'll inspire you to really make progress on your business much more efficiently and effectively even than before. Now, I'm going to be sharing a lot of sort of quotes and passages from the book in today's video. So, and I'm going to be, of course, interspersing with my comments and my ideas and suggestions, particularly for how to apply the book if you are a solopreneur service provider. So if you are wanting to create a coaching business, a consulting business, a healing business, or some other service where you are primarily the service provider rather than outsourcing out to people who are interfacing with your clients. So you are primarily one. Now, the reason why the reason why I focus so much on solopreneur services in Our Highest Work is because I really have seen that it is a great way to create your highest work. It's a very simple path there. Rather than trying to build a huge company that has potential to change the entire world, you do it first by providing something that you're passionate about, that you're really good at, that other people find helpful. A service, something you know how to do, or something you know a lot about, okay? So that's why I focus on solopreneur service providers as a really good start to creating your highest work. Now, to the book, The 7-Day Startup. Today, what I'm going to do in this video is actually walk through the 7-day formula. So as you are watching this video, now this video is basically me talking with my hands, like this. So there's not a lot to watch, but there's a lot to listen to. So what I suggest that as you're watching this video, take notes. Take as many notes as you can. And if you are the type of person who doesn't mind sharing your notes publicly so that others who watch this video can, before they watch it, they can see what the video is more about in depth, what other people thought it was about, and decide whether to watch it. And also people watching this video will find your notes very helpful if you're willing to share publicly. If you are willing to do that, I would love for you to actually comment below the video and actually share your notes as you watch this. So, so without further ado, let's get going. All right. The 7-day formula for creating your solopreneur service business. Now, the book is about the 7-day startup. Now, you don't have to create it in 7 days, but I really hope that by watching these videos, maybe even reading the book, it'll inspire you to launch sooner, to launch your business sooner, rather than what a lot of solopreneur service providers do is they spend months, maybe even years, thinking about it, planning for it, creating the perfect logo, making business cards, making the perfect website, making sure they have the perfect packages before they launch. They do all kinds of stuff, going to networking events and talking to people about it. All of that is good, except that it tends to delay the actual launch, which is what is actually needed to see if people even want your service. If you remember from part 1 of the series, right, the last video I did, the only way to actually know if the world wants your service is not just to talk to people about it. That's helpful as a possible signal, okay? Talk to people, hey, what do you think if I made this available? Would you buy it? Would you hire me for it? People say, oh, yeah, I would. First of all, know that everyone wants to be nice to you. No one's going to say, no, I wouldn't buy this thing. Almost nobody would do that. People would say, well, yeah, I probably would buy it. Or, oh, I think people would be interested in it. Okay. They're being nice to you. Of course they're going to say that. But the only way to know whether they're going to buy it is actually to have the website available where they can buy it, or to be on the phone with them and say, all right, are you ready to hire me for this service? That's the only point of contact when you really know if people want your service. Everything else before that, niche interviews, surveying people, those are signals and some feedback to how you might shape the service better, but you don't really know until you launch. And so what the book has told us up to now is that the real data from business building comes from launching and then pivoting after the launch. If you launch and people aren't buying your thing, you then know you need to pivot based on, of course, asking the customers, hey, just wondering why this wasn't for you, and what would you make it different? Again, those are all assumptions as well, but helpful assumptions for you to pivot. But you don't really know the real assumptions until after you launch and show people the service and the website to see if they actually are going to buy it or not, and then getting their feedback from there. Good marketing is all about experimentation. I'll say this again, good marketing is all about experimentation. And it's about good experimentation, and real experimentation is actually launching and seeing how to adjust from there. To not put so much of your ego and self-worth into that launch. To look at it, I've said it again and again in these videos, to look at your launches as launching paper airplanes. If you were, versus having a baby, if you're having a baby, of course you invest so much of your identity and life in that situation, you know, of this baby, and people think your baby is ugly, you're crushed and you're depressed and all that stuff. But don't think of launching a business in that way. Think of launching a business as launching a paper airplane. You fold up a paper airplane. Of course, when you fly the paper airplane, you hope it flies well. You have that expectation, you have that hope. You did what you can, but you don't spend years building a paper airplane and then seeing what happens. No, you take a few minutes, right, to build a paper airplane, and then you fly it, and then you see where it goes. Maybe it flies to the left and then crashes. Then you know, okay, pick the paper airplane back up, fold the left wing a little differently, and then let's fly it again and see if it goes more straight this time and goes where you want it to go. Right? And if it crashes, you don't cry and say, oh my God, I'm a worthless person. Nobody wants my paper airplane. No, you go, oh, look how it flew a certain way and crashed. And now let me, with that real data, let me now change the paper airplane a bit and let's try it again. Now, one thing that I want to say that a lot of people, one of the objections that solopreneurs have to launching more quickly and then pivoting from there is they're saying, well, my friends and family are going to laugh at me if I change and launch again. Friends, let me tell you something very important. It actually matters very little what your family and friends think. In terms of the longevity of your livelihood, in terms of your highest work, in terms of building your business out to be a sustainable income source, the opinion of your friends and family actually matters very, very little. In fact, one of the quotes from the book, from the Dan Norris 7-Day Startup book is, if it's your friends and family who are buying your thing, don't celebrate yet, because you don't celebrate until you get strangers buying your thing. Okay, because your friends and family, if they buy it, they're probably just also being nice to you, or they have that bias, of course, of wanting to not disappoint you, right? So it don't matter if this week you launch something and the next week you launch something different. Your friends and family, let them laugh, because you are building your highest work, and you come to a community like this, like we have a Facebook group, Our Highest Work. We would love to see you launch something different every week if you are being thoughtful about it, because that's how you actually build a business. I have launched, in my 6 years of building this, I have launched a bunch of different things. Sure, some people think I might be a flake, but I'm not a flake. I know entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship looks like a flake from people who don't know entrepreneurship, right? But for people who do know entrepreneurship, it's about launching a bunch of different things and seeing what works. Okay, so don't worry about your opinion of friends and family. If they say, hey, how come you're launching something again this week? How come you're launching something again? Say, you know what? That's actually what entrepreneurship is. It's testing different things in the market itself, testing different things to see what people buy and then changing from there. And you say, you know what, if you want to know where I'm getting all this, read the book, The 7-Day Startup. It's one of the best books out there on business, not just from George Cow's perspective, from many people's perspective, from many solid entrepreneurs' perspective. It's one of the best books on business. So anyway, with that, I also want to say, before we get into the 7-day formula, I also want to say one more thing. You don't have to do the 7-day formulas in 7 days. You don't. You can take 3 days for each of the 7 steps. So you launch in 21 days instead of 7 days. Try not to take more than 3 days for each of the 7 steps. I mean, okay, maybe take 4 days on average per each. Then you launch something every month. Okay, that's fair as well. But please don't go longer than that. If you're finding yourself launching something every half a year, every year, it's probably, and you haven't yet been successful at building an income, it's probably too long. If you aren't yet successful at having sustainable income, okay, remember, we've talked about redefining success every day. Success is not income, but in terms of the metrics of a sustainable business, income is obviously one of those important metrics. If you haven't gotten sustainable income yet, you need to be launching something at least once a month until you get to something where people are buying it and buying it eagerly. Okay, so step one, again, I'm going to go through the 7-day formula. Instead of saying day 1, day 2, day 3, I'm going to say step 1, step 2, step 3, because you might want to spend 3 or 4 days on each step. So step 1 is to come up with your business idea. And again, I'm going to be reading a bunch from the book itself, so just take notes, listen to the video, and take notes as much as you can. So from the book, it says this: if you only spend 1 day on your idea, or 3 or 4 days on your idea, you'll be more open to changing it if it doesn't work out. Okay, now this is really important. If you spent 6 months or a year on creating your business idea, how much more scared are you going to be about launching? You're going to be much more invested emotionally. And oh my God, what if it doesn't work out? But if you only spent 1 to 4 days on an idea and you launch it, and after 7 to 28 days, you launch it, and if it doesn't work out, think, okay, you know what? Remember, entrepreneurship is about experimenting as much as possible until you find the thing that you both you love and people love to buy. Okay, so this is very, very important. I don't want to gloss over this point because too many people spend too long building an idea. That's why they are so scared to launch it. And when they launch it from a place of being scared, that energy comes through as well to the audience. That's desperation. And in the place of desperation, people make bad decisions, right? And unvirtuous decisions. Okay, more from the book. You might already have some ideas. You might hear people complaining about a particular pain point, or you might have to even start cold calling people to find out what you can work on. That's what the book says. And you know what? That's not a bad idea. You know, if you started asking, start with your friends, that's fine. Or start with people on your Facebook. Email them or message them privately. Hey, you know, I'm thinking about creating something like this. Would it be helpful for you, or what would be more helpful for you? I'm just gathering some initial information. I talk about this in what I call niche interviews. I mentioned that in the previous episode. I'll also include the niche interviews template in this video description area below this video as well later. Okay, so what makes a good business idea? The book names 9 things, but actually many of those 9 things I don't agree with, such as that a good business idea must operate profitably without the founder being in the business at all. A good business idea is something you can sell to someone else. I mean, a business you can sell and then profit from selling out. You know, I mean, for solopreneur service providers, what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide a service from our own hands and mouth that people find beneficial. And that's not about selling our business in a few years or whatever. It's about building it up to a sustainable and thriving livelihood, right? So, but Dan, the book does talk about some ideas about how to evaluate a good business idea. And let me share some of those things. So 1 is imagine yourself doing the daily tasks of that business, doing the actual service. Do you like what you're imagining? If you don't, it's probably not a good business idea. Now, it doesn't mean that you should love every single aspect of running your business, because there's some things such as designing your website or writing your marketing copy or doing some of the technological stuff or doing bookkeeping, some of the stuff that are on the side of the business, not the main service itself, but the sides of the business, the operational aspects. You can outsource that stuff, and it's perfectly okay. But you must love doing the day-to-day service itself, okay? All right. The second evaluation for whether it's a good business idea is tap into pain or pleasure differentiators. This is straight from the book. Everyone will tell you to have a unique selling proposition or a differentiator. What they don't tell you is that it's not enough just to be different or unique. All that matters is what your customers or clients care about. Wonderful quote from the book, right? And so as an example, right, my business is not just unique. It's not just, oh, my business is, it's unique in terms of that it's more authentic, whatever. No, I tap into the pain that many business owners feel when it comes to marketing their business, not having it work, or doing it in a slimy way. They really don't like it. And I guess my unique pain point differentiator is that I actually solve both of these problems in one. I solve both the how do you market effectively and how do you do it in a way that doesn't make you feel gross, right? And so I kind of combine those two into one. And so that's so one thing I want to say about this, solving pain equals necessity. Achieving goal equals luxury. It's easier to market necessities than luxuries. A little bit about this. This is not from the book, but I just wanted to share this because it's relevant. People often say, well, should I focus, should I help clients to, should I, in my marketing copy, should I talk about the pain that they're facing, right? Or should I talk about the dream, the goal, okay? Now, ideally, you talk about both, but really, if you haven't yet clarified to the reader of your webpage what is the pain and problem you solve, for them, it's just a luxury whether to keep reading your website. It's not a necessity. Now, some people say, but I don't want to re-traumatize my audience to their pain. And I understand. We're not trying to make them feel more pain in their life. What we're trying to do is help them remember that they might be limping along in their life, having numbed out the pain. They've numbed out the pain and the problem, and they're kind of just limping along, not living a full life. And what you're trying to do on your website is to remind them that, you know what? Remember, don't be numbing out that pain. That pain is real for you, and I want to let you know that I understand it. I understand that real pain is real for you, and I want to give you hope because there is a solution for it. Now, you're not saying that you're the only solution, but you are saying that you are one of the best solutions for people experiencing that particular pain in a particular situation. Maybe they're a certain age range. Maybe you help women in particular. Maybe you help women who are going through a particular situation with that pain, okay? So solving pain is a necessity. People are much more likely to buy necessities, whereas achieving goals, achieving a dream life or whatever, that's a luxury. People are less likely to buy luxuries. Not that they don't, but they're less likely than buying necessities. Okay, third way to assess a business idea is to choose an idea that you can launch and modify quickly. Then when you start getting real data from your paying clients, you can innovate and get your service just right. Now I'm reading back to a quote from the book. I just modified that a bit. For example, create a 5-module course with live Q&A or coaching calls with you, okay? You could just write out the outline of your course and then build it module by module as people take the course. This is how I've always built all of my online coaching programs or courses, okay? And people, so again, what I'm saying is, rather than spend months building a perfect online course, just outline it first. Outline it, okay? That's something you can build and modify quickly. Outline it and see if people will buy it. I've been saying this for 6 years, right? Outline it, see if people will buy it, and if they actually buy it, then you start building it module by module. Now, people say, George, how can you sell something you haven't built? Great point, great question. Here's what I say to that. Don't say, oh, I'm gonna, don't sell people a car when you have no idea how to build a car. But if you have a good idea about your own service, obviously, and again, something you can imagine yourself building quickly. An online course about your expertise is something to build quickly, right? With access to you through Q&A calls. Sell the outline, the outline is basically your sales page. And when people buy it, then you say, great, the first module will be delivered in 3 weeks. Now, if they can't wait, then you could say, if you really can't wait, I'd be happy to do a group Q&A call once a week up to the first module's launch. And during that group Q&A call, you can ask me any questions to get started, right? But say, hey, the first module will be delivered in 3 weeks. You have 3 weeks then to build the first module of your course, the first part of your course. And then you build it, and then you deliver the course, the first part, and then you get a survey. You send them out a quick survey to say, how did you like the first part of the course, anything you still are confused about, anything you would love to learn next. You use those survey answers to then build the second module, you see, and then take a quick survey after the second module, then build a third module. This way, the course is actually better quality, higher relevance than if you were to just build it, having built it yourself first, and then try to market it later. You see, that's what a lot of people do wrongly. They build a big, complicated thing first, and then they try to sell it when they don't know if it's going to sell. And they built it without market feedback, right? Okay, so the next point about how to evaluate a business idea is this. People might be saying through your niche interviews and through your surveys that your idea is great, but look at whether or not they are currently paying for a solution to the same problem. So let me say that again. How do you evaluate a good business idea? Are people already paying to solve this problem that you're trying to solve? Yes, if are they paying for it? Well, what are they paying for? You are coming along really as an alternative to that thing. So I'll give you an example. If you're thinking about starting a relationship coaching service, you coach people on forming better relationships and preventing divorce, etc. Well, are people already paying for it? Yes. People are going to psychotherapists. People are going to marriage and family counselors, okay? So people are already paying for that. So you're coming along as a relationship coach. You're really being an alternative to psychotherapists and marriage and family counselors. Does that make sense? Same thing. If you want to be a health coach, are people already paying to solve a particular health problem that you want to coach people on? Yes, they're going to a particular doctor, a specialist to solve that problem. Well, you're coming along as a less expensive, be a health coach is less expensive than a doctor, and you do it in a more holistic way. Right? So think about, are people already paying for it? What are you an alternative to that people are already paying for? Okay, from the book, quote, Steve Jobs said, people don't know what they want before you show it to them. That's correct, but also extremely dangerous advice for a new entrepreneur. And the book goes on to say, my first business failed. I am not Steve Jobs. Playing the visionary is a privilege reserved for the second and third time successful entrepreneurs. It's fun, but it's fraught with danger. As an entrepreneur, you need something that people want to pay for, okay? Just asking them whether they might want to pay for it will not work because people are bad at predicting their own behavior. For your first business, meaning your first sustainable income business, there is a much easier way. Solve problems where people are already paying for solutions. So rather than try to convince them that they have a problem that they don't already recognize, solve a problem that they're already paying for. It's just that now they're going to channel their money to you instead of to whatever they were paying for before, because you are a better solution for their type of person, for their values, etc., for their situation, etc., etc. Okay. So I want to clarify a couple things about this. You may have heard me talk about the entrepreneur's path versus the artist's path. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to google.com and search Niching 101, N-I-C-H-I-N-G 101, entrepreneur's path versus artist's path. I have a whole slideshow on that. So really, this book and this couple of videos about this is about the entrepreneur's path and not the artist's path. It's about creating something that will make you a sustainable income now, rather than the artist's path, which is to do what's only meaningful to you and not meaningful to anybody else, and do it big until you gather enough of a fan base where you then try to sell them something. That's a much longer path to income. Right now, we're talking about a shorter path to income, which is really solving problems people are already paying for. Okay. All right. Let's go on now to the second step. So the second step in the book is called Day 2. I'm calling it the second step. You can do this in 1 to 4 days, which is to create your minimum viable product. Something you can create in 1 to 4 days. Remember what I said is creating an outline of your course or creating an outline of your service to see if people will buy it if you put it on a web page, right? So now to clarify, now I've kind of already talked about this, so this one will go rather quickly. To clarify, it's not about creating a crappy service. So rather than saying, I will solve Any relationship problem, any age, any situation. I'm a relationship coach. I'll solve any relationship problem, any age, any situation. And I'll do it now. Like I can create an outline to solve this and people will buy it. That would become quite a crappy service, because how can you solve a 18-year-old's relationship issues versus a 50-year-old relationship issues? They're in two different stages of life. They have different mindsets. They're thinking in different ways. You can't, unless you have experience helping both of those types of ages, right? That would be a crappy service. Instead, look at your own experience and what you have experience doing. You may have experience helping people of a particular age range. You may have experience helping people in a particular narrow type of situation. Sell that. So it's not about creating something quickly. It doesn't mean selling a crappy service. It's about being as narrow as you can so that you can sell something you have experience solving. So it's going to be actually beneficial and results, going to get the results, okay? Okay. Okay, another example, okay, this is straight from the book, and this is, again, a software type of startup. So, you know what, I'm not even going to say this example. The example is this person launched in I think 7 days or very quickly, the website www.gotidy.com, GOTIDY.com. Yeah, actually she did this in 7 days. Instead of creating this massive thing that she has now, she just basically, it was a service to pair up house cleaners with people who needed cleaning. So she basically just put an ad out to get a couple of house cleaners, and then she got customers by putting some online ads, and she got a couple of customers, she got a couple of house cleaners, she paired them up, and that's how she started her service. She did it in 7 days. She worked hard in those 7 days, of course. But now she has a thriving service. That's many, many hundreds of customers and cleaners, etc. But again, for solopreneur service providers, the key to launch it quickly is to not be all things to all people. There's this feeling that, well, if I'm not all things to all people, how can I get enough business? No. If you get known as doing something really excellently for a narrow situation, for a narrow type of person, then you can launch another service or expand your service to solve another narrow situation for a narrow type of person. You will become really excellent at these things and be known for those things. And then you expand to offer another one. Then you get known for that as well. That's the way to create quickly sustainable income, doing something both what you love and what you're truly great at and what the market really loves to pay you for, okay? So, okay. A couple of questions you need to answer to create your minimum viable service. Okay. How can you perform a service to real clients? Okay, so example is deliver it yourself rather than thinking, I'm going to create a business that's going to hire a bunch of different types of people, blah, blah, blah. No, you deliver it yourself, you can launch it in 7 days, right? Second question, how would you get people to pay you? Okay, the simplest way to do it in 7 days is to use PayPal.com, or another one is Gumroad, Gumroad.com. Gumroad also makes it very easy. Actually, Gumroad.com is even easier than PayPal.com. Or another one is WePay, WePay.com, WePay.com, WePay.com. Okay, anyway, lots of things like that out there. Okay. Another question, how close will your minimum viable service be to the final version of your product? Now, actually, I'm not sure that's a good service because it's going to make you start thinking about, oh, I want to provide this service to all these kinds of people. So let me actually scratch that question out. The fourth question is, what can you do manually? And the hint from the book is probably everything. So a big mistake that a lot of service providers make is they go, okay, I'm going to start a business. So I'm going to buy this automated system. I'm going to buy this online training course to teach me how to automate this and automate that, automate this, automate that. No, in the beginning, and this is what I've been teaching for 6 years, right? In the beginning, you try to do everything manually. So, for example, I did all my affiliate stuff manually using a spreadsheet. I did all my bookkeeping manually. I took payment through PayPal, and that's a fairly manual process. I did my own website manual. I did everything manually. I did customer service manual. I didn't set up a whole Zendesk, customer support automated software. No, you do everything manually in the beginning until you get so many clients and customers that you start to feel a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of business you have. Then you have proven that you actually have a business that's worth automating. Before you have a business that's worth automating, do everything manually. Okay, don't fall for the sales hype and the sales stuff to try to automate stuff. Do everything manually. You don't have to buy Infusionsoft yet. You don't have to buy Office Autopilot or Entreport. You don't have to buy one shopping cart. Get rid of all that stuff. Just do everything manually through PayPal for now. Okay. Okay. What can you do yourself instead of delegating? It's probably everything in the beginning. I built my business up to $250,000 a year, and I was still doing everything myself. I didn't have a single assistant. Okay, did all my customer service myself, did all of my website myself, did all of my you name it myself. And then once I got to a certain level, and then I finally hired an assistant to help me out. Okay, so you can do everything yourself in the beginning. You can learn how to do everything yourself, because when you learn how to do everything yourself in the beginning, you'll do it very simply. You'll get rid of all the stuff you don't really need to do. Okay, so whatever you need to figure out how to do yourself, come to our online group. Go to Facebook, search Our Highest Work, 3 separate words, or go to ourhighestwork.com, click on community, come to our community. If you have a question about how to do something yourself, ask us, because there's someone in the community who knows. And when I try to help out whenever I can there as well. Okay. All right. So if you want to develop your services first, if you want to develop your experience about your service, think about doing your coaching or your service for free for the first couple of months, okay? It's better that you are continuing to do your service, even if you do it for free, to stay in the game so you can keep building your experience, than go for a year without doing your service, okay? And also, when you do service for free, you can also ask them just whether they'd be willing to give you a testimonial afterwards, right? Okay, now let me just do step 3. Let me actually see here. Yeah, let me do step, well, you know what? I think I'm gonna end this video for now. I think it's gone long enough. I've talked about enough things that you can work on for now. In the next, next video, I'm doing an interview with an experienced marketing coach. So we'll be sharing about marketing ideas. But after that, I'll go into steps 3 through 7 if I can, and then we'll finish up there. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I look forward to seeing your notes if you want to share them publicly underneath the video. And if you have any questions, also share them underneath the video, or ideally in our community. That's a better way to share questions. More people will see it and be able to answer it. And I also show up there occasionally as well. So with that, I'll end this video by reminding you that you are cared for more than you realize by forces beyond your imagination. Your destiny, where you are going to end up, your consciousness, your soul, is secure. Your destiny is secure in a place of tremendous, infinite bliss and love and understanding and knowledge and power. So with that understanding, keep your thoughts positive. Keep working hard at your highest work. And until the next episode, be well.